Good afternoon to all. Pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be joined with my colleagues who you'll hear from. You'll hear from Governor Brown first, and then you'll hear from Governor Murphy, and then you will hear from Governor Lamont, and then from Governor J.B. Pritzker. We're here today to talk about basic tax fairness. We have a tax system in this nation, and every American expects the same thing, which is fairness. They want to pay their fair share of taxes, and they want to receive the benefit in return. The president signed tax reform in December of 2017, as everybody remembers. It was a tax reform bill that, in our opinion, skewed the benefits to the rich and the rich corporations. And that was the discussion at the time. But there was a provision in that tax reform bill that very few people took notice of, which is now referred to as SALT, which was ending the deduction of state and local taxes. They did this in part to finance the tax cut for the rich. The deduction of SALT raised over $600 billion for them to finance their tax cut. What does it mean, the deduction of SALT? It means those states that have state and local taxes, those taxes would no longer be deducted from the federal income tax, which means, in essence, your state and local taxes will be taxed by the federal government. It hurts, obviously, those states with state and local taxes. This was the first time since the federal income tax was proposed by President Abraham Lincoln that the federal government did this. It is the first tax on taxes in the history of the United States of America. And what it does is it puts those states that have state and local taxes at a structural economic disadvantage. Because now, in this mobile economy where people can move and businesses can move and they can shop for better economic conditions, it puts the states with state and local taxes at a significant disadvantage from the other states, compounded by the fact that they just got a tax decrease in that same Tax Reform Act. It has hurt New York State, I can tell you that. We are now seeing our tax returns come in at the beginning of the year. Our estimated payments are down 55%, which means our state has a $2.3 billion shortfall on the revenues that were predicted. Now, coincidentally, the states that have state and local taxes tend to be Democratic states. And I'm sure that was a coincidence in the way the bill was actually written. But that coincidence did not go unnoticed. Now, President Trump has said he is open to discussing this SALT provision, which is a gross injustice. It was politically motivated, in my opinion. It was declaration of an economic civil war between Democratic states and Republican states. But he said he was open to discussing it. Senator Grassley said the exact opposite. By the way, I believe President Trump is now open to discussing it because he now has a Democratic Congress and Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And this tax change affects many of the members of her delegation by definition. And he's going to have to be open to speaking about it because I'm sure it's going to be on the top of the congressional agenda. Senator Grassley went the exact opposite way, and he said he's not open to it because these states, the Democratic states that have SALT deductions, that it would be a giveaway to those states with state and local. The truth is the exact opposite, okay? Here's a surprising fact, but math still matters even in Washington, D.C. Of the 50 states, 40 states receive money from the federal government, 10 states donate. Meaning, when you look at what states pay into the federal government versus what they get back, 40 states get back more than they put in. 10 states actually contribute more to the federal government than they receive back. New York is the #1 donor state at $36 billion. We give in $36 billion more than we give back. The state of Iowa, which is represented by Senator Grassley, actually receives $3.5 billion more than they put in. So if you're talking about fairness, if you're talking about justice, this added insult to injury. These were states that were already contributing more to the federal government, and now they receive less and they contribute even more. It's ironic that an administration that is so vehemently against the concept of income redistribution, right? We shouldn't take from the rich to give to the poor. Well, the way they've fashioned their tax statement, you have 10 states giving and 40 states receiving. It is the ultimate redistribution, and the deduction of SALT just adds insult to injury. In some ways, I'm not surprised. Look, this is an administration that has made their tactics clear. It is divide and conquer. They will divide by race. They will divide by sexual orientation. They will divide by immigration status. And now, through their economic platform, they divide by party identification, where they have the Democratic states paying more than the Republican states. It's wrong. It's divisive. It's poison for this nation. It is a cancer in the American body politic, and it's spreading. And this, pardon the pun, adds salt in the wounds, both literally and figuratively. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Governor Brown.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kate Brown. I represent the great state of Oregon, and I will be short and I will be sweet. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, for your leadership, and thank you for bringing us all together. I think it is incumbent upon us as leaders of states from across the United States that we continue to fight back against the unjust policies of the Trump administration, and that we work together to make sure that our people have access to fair and just tax policy. I look forward to working with my colleagues, and thank you all so much for being here today. Who's next?
I think it's me.
Governor Murphy from the great state of New Jersey.
Thank you, Governor Brown. I will also be short and sweet. I want to thank Governor Cuomo for gathering us, and I want to thank my fellow governors, Lamont, Brown, and Pritzker as well, for being here. New Jersey is right in the crosshairs of exactly what Governor Cuomo went through. We're one of the top donor states. This is politics masquerading as tax policy. It is appropriate that we're having this discussion in the middle of tax season, as it is gutting our middle class, and it's just plain wrong. It is pitting, as the governor said, it's pitting us against them. We've proposed some workarounds, which we still stand by, and we wait for the IRS to opine on them. In the meantime, I'm very happy that Senator Bob Menendez and Congressman Bill Pascrell from the great state of New Jersey have put forward a bipartisan bill that would undo this cap in exchange for a meaningful payment toward that by raising the upper tax rate from 37 back, restoring it to 39.6%. That gets you a long way toward funding this. It's wrong-headed, it's politics, it's us against them. It guts the middle class in New Jersey and in the other states that are represented here. And I'm honored to stand with these governors and stand up to the president and to this wrong-headed tax policy. With that, I'd love to introduce another neighbor, newly elected, newly inaugurated from the great state of Connecticut, Governor Ned Lamont.
Thanks, my friend.
Pleasure.
Yeah, 7 weeks and counting. Let me just amplify what I heard from my friends here. We're all trying to come up with an honestly balanced budget, something that is absolutely alien to the Washington political culture where you have $800 billion deficits as far as the eye can see, which makes it even more shocking, as Governor Cuomo said, that we are states that donate much more back to the federal government than we get back, even though they have an $800 billion deficit. For the little state of Connecticut, we already were donating billions of dollars more. Now with the SALT deduction and that, it's going to be billions even more. It is the art of the raw deal. We're going to stand up and oppose it, and I hope you do as well. Thank you. Over to you, JB.
What a great introduction. Thank you. I want to reiterate some of what has been said already and remind all of you that everybody that's standing up here ran for office and holds office because we pledged to stand up for the middle class. And it is an affront to the middle class what's happened to homeowners, to people who have taken that SALT deduction in the past. And in Illinois, it affects nearly 2 million people in a very negative way. And 85% of those people make less than $200,000 a year. Everything that we do every day is about fighting for the middle class, fighting for people who are striving to get to the middle class, and they're being dumped on by this administration time and time again. The tax bill that was passed dumps on them once again. We need to reverse this elimination of the SALT deduction, and once again, you know, the team that you're seeing here and so many other Democrats across the nation are really all about trying to make it easier for people to make a living, for people to stand up for their families, to educate their kids, and this hurts them. This hurts people in Illinois every day. So thank you.